Ultimate Board Games Chinese Checkers Game Grumps vs Game Grumps. According to Dan, broke the rules and the game allowed it. Pegs are never removed from the board. However, that in X27's the game in X27's fault, not Dan and X27's. Couldn't in X27 you achieve the same sort of thing by just leaving one of your pieces outside of your own triangle, and moving it around in circles all game? While having one you're doing a bit of research, it seems that indeed, many rulebooks fail to add any rules that prevent this kind of abuse. However, you can always count on user mods to fix the problems with vanilla. Goddamn Aaron just makes up the weirdest shit out of nowhere. The only alpha animals are chickens? It in X27 sweet, another board game. Edit nevermind, they played it really well, the ending was super close and it took 30 minutes. This is like the well yeah. It in X27 I in X27. I'm sorry for being the actually person here, but wolf packs do, in fact, have leaders. A pack is typical. This was your the more you know of the day. I didn't in X27. Hate the other two videos, but this one was a lot more fun imo. Dan and X2 more quality content from the board game Grumps. Watching them play shitty shovelware Chinese checkers would be one thing. Stretching it out to, also, very inspiring never give up speech at the end from the guy who fucking went GG feeding mid in checkers. Was that an impression of Raleigh Ritchie at 1843 or am I just imagining a similarity? Wow, the first Chinese checkers versus was the first Grump video I ever watched. It was so weird seeing TFW Dan Dozen and X27. Remember the Asian tune being used by I and X27. I'm sure he does, he was just asking where it came from. It ISN and he couldn't and X27. Think of it off the top of his head So no one in X27's going to point out that Dan also fucked up spelling I. Dopey being Asian is scandalous, and then Dan says classic. Yeah, I don't think Aaron has much room to pull any SJW type stuff without being a hypocrite, lol. Thanks for the new flair, Dan. Let me just make all the comments so no one has to bother. Remember when Game Grumps used to play real games? Wow, this again, they in X27. Just so lazy. I donated 10 billion copies of Star Wars Bounty Hunter and they in X27. Replaying this. What's even the did anyone want this? Resident Evil 2 though. Game Grumps has objectively been on the decline since 3 paragraphs. Man, you guys are a bummer sometimes. And I love how I know there can feel like patches where Grumps feels but that an X27's been that way since even the John era, and that was only a year. I mean, I know their content will get better, then it will get worse, then it will get better again, it an X27's just how it goes. TL. Dr. Don and X27. Ask questions, just consume product, then get excited for next product.
Raindrop, drop top smoking, no cooking the hot bar. Fucking on your bitch, yeah, that. Looking up, open the park.